Yamenapo, Arokrenimo, Obosa. Iyere abiye Hector Goma. Mingba wap Wakirike radio me and piki boom na war malasa. Wasi otoroko bo piki duko wasa mari okweng bolo wasa ne chenrane se ibi gose. Che gose wa meme woyel tatariye. Atelise mena semina omana irimina omana wodie me so kuma insoni ama bele madumu woyana bioko. Mankarama ye mina amadi dikaro puapuma in wapo kero kuma Tom na gbenye in wona sepike se ineda fribie chubia Tarakarama ye mine kreke besebe pakaboto in mangba mina kubie ma jike wasisa se bipio bo sobarabo frideki wengi mina mama ibibia gose ine nkarama ye Bo mine na okwara ma deke wengari bifre ma kele won duko bele ma mingba na okwembia bo ane mena bo tori bife David Solomon ane Wakirike USA and Atibeda boy. Our dear brother David Solomon, you're welcome to Say Go Say program. Ibosa.
Yo, Mibaka. Thank you for inviting me, Mibaka.
Yeah, I remember, I think the first time we met was in 2008 when I attended the Wakirike USA convention, which was hosted by your chapter in Minnesota. I think and things like that. And since then, we have maintained an excellent relationship. I have seen, since you became Wakirike USA president, I've seen a lot of your passion. Honestly, I must commend you. I know you're very passionate about everything Kirike Bese. And I know last year, particularly, you had not been home for many years. And you traveled to Nigeria, to Rivers State, and you visited almost every Wakirike Amayana. But this is somebody who had not come home for many, many years. You know, you left all of that. You devoted so much time to meet the kings, to meet the ODCC chiefs and all of that. Let's start from there. Why will any man do that? You've not come home for many years. For decades, you come home, and instead of sorting out your family and all of that, you spend so much time going to meet the Wakirike Mayanapo and all that. Just tell me about that trip and what was the drive behind that kind of personal sacrifice?
It's a good thing we were starting from there. Like you said, we met first time in 2008, and ever since I can remember, what drives me as a human being, it's what is it that I can do as an individual? What contribution can I make to the world that is around me, to make it a better place. So, and of course, it will come to a point where if you're a right thinking person, you will get to the point where you will come to realize that to make a difference of any kind, it has to start from your home. You cannot go there and start trying to sweep the front of your house when inside your house is dirty. And so with that realization, of course, if you recall what happened in our 2018 convention, when you came here, the second time we hosted it in Minnesota here, I'm not going to get into what really happened because it's a little bit was embarrassing. But if you recall now, we had to beg our president then, Halali Tamuno, to hang on for another 1 year.
True.
So that got me into thinking, because prior to that moment, I've been doing everything about the John Nation. Yeah. So when that happened, it got me to thinking, like, yeah, If I have to do something to make a difference, why am I not starting from Okrika, which is where I belong? Because Okrika is part of the John Nation. If Okrika is good, then at least it reflects on the John Nation too. So that's what pushed me and drove me into becoming the president of Wakirike USA. And of course, when I was elected, you were there too. We resolved to do a couple of things, and top of the agenda, three things: the environment, electricity, and what was it again about unity? So such heavy issues are not things that you can sit from afar and be able to discuss or communicate with people such as those that I went back home to meet, the kings and the chiefs. So I resolved immediately after that convention when I was elected president that I was going to go home, because this is about the future of the Wakirike nation. And so that's what took me home. And luckily, before I went home, I recall that I spoke with you, and almost all the persons I met back home, you introduced them to me, and they were good. I met the kings, and I lived before them. The things we resolved as sons and daughters of Wakirike here in the USA. So, I mean, the thing is, we know that Amami, it needs work to be done. And my belief is that if it is not us, then to what we mean pribi wamu ugona butakebe munisi wamu prema butakebe munisi wamu Germans takebe munisi or Italians mine cricket mani begin me say mina semi bibia here. So that's the drive that I have, and it was an humbling experience coming home after not being home for 27 years.
Wow.
Yes, and like you said, I spent I think about 15 days in Nigeria, and 11 of those days, the first 11 days, were just all about engaging our Amayanapu and chiefs and all that about the cricket message. So yeah, it was quite an humbling experience.
Well, that's good. So now that you said it, 27 years, you tell me, just tell our listeners a bit about yourself. If Tamadu get a five, pick up our met for about 27 years before then, tell us about your background at home and all of that.
That's quite an interesting question. Now, why did I say so? Because right after I was elected the president of Wakirike USA, I don't know what I was doing, but I stumbled upon this Wakirike Coalition website.
Okay.
And you had mentioned something about the election that took place during our convention, and you had also posted my picture.
Okay.
And I saw people making comments, most of which were congratulatory messages.
Okay.
But there was one comment that caught my attention. It was from a guy, I believe, if I remember, if I recall correctly. Okay, yeah, more David Solomon. Hey.
Bible
So with that, I think this particular question begs for me to properly introduce myself. Here the name the African boy.
Yes, sir.
So because it's about my story. So my name is David Dagogo Minayo Solomon. I am the grandson of Chief Minayo Solomon. And the title of my father as a chief was Minayo Bilebedaba I. He was the paramount ruler of the Minayo Wakenu House of Ingemibri.
Wow.
Yeah, and my father was Sir Dagogo Minayo. So even though my father refused to go with his grandfather's name, which was Solomon, my father went all through his life with his father's first name, which was Minayo. So even when I was in school in Nigeria, my name was David Minayo Dagogo.
Okay.
The Solomon came when I came to America. That's why I moved to my great grandfather's name, which is Solomon. So that's a bit about my paternal side from Ingemibri. My mother On the other hand, my paternal grandfather was from the Uduabaji family of Awolumebri.
Okay.
My maternal grandfather was a man called Abere Egbani, and my maternal grandmother was from the Fiabema family of Obapolo.
Okay.
Her name was Bessie Fiabema. She was the younger sister of Chief Benjamin Fiabema, who died, I think it was in 1980. So that's basically my background as an Okrika man. So for those who wonder if David Solomon was an Okrika
Any
man,
fruit of where?
yeah, in Gambri, operate on Baswe Wamojiga. So yeah, in terms of my education, I attended my primary school was in St. Mary's State School. That school on the Agri Road there on the Club Road.
Okay, okay.
That's where I attended primary school. And of course, for my secondary education, I'm a proud graduate of Anitonia High School.
Okay.
We say that it is the bedrock of wisdom, knowledge, and power. And I tell you, you don't talk about Elitonia unless you salute her properly. And we salute her by saying, Elitonia, we hail thee. Yeah, so I did a bit of schooling in Nigeria. I went to Federal Polytechnic, Bauchi, and then I came to America. Here I went I have an associate degree in manufacturing management. I specialize in plastics. I have a diploma in polymer and plastics engineering. I have certificates in injection molding and extrusion molding, plastics engineering technology. I have a bachelor's degree in manufacturing management from the University of Minnesota. And for the last, 14, 15 years or so, I've been in the plastic industry. I work with a company where we're experts in fiber and resin-based technologies and materials. So that's basically my background in terms of education and work so far to this day. Yep.
Fantastic. Let me just leapfrog on what you've just said. How can you bring your manufacturing background to make a difference in Kirikebese? If you had the opportunity, what would you do?
I think about that every day, and not just think. I discuss it every day. Now, when I went home, I traveled from Port Harcourt to Ogu, and that was the very first time I ever went to Ogu. And luckily, we went by road. So with my younger brother and my driver, we passed a point where my younger brother pointed to me that this is the border between, I think, Elemi and Ogu. And then we kept driving. All I was seeing was that expanse of land. One more here. Okay. In that case, let him finish. Okay. So I was looking at that expanse of land. Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about yeah. And of course, that brings us to what you just asked now. I was thinking about, with all of this kind of land, what kind of manufacturing, what kind of industries can we, help to bring to this kind of place such as Ogu? And of course, it's one of the reasons why I even went home to talk about how we can bring electricity, constant electricity into the Kirikebese. So what came to my mind was, why can't we bring a cassava processing plant here? With such an industry, a cassava processing plant, even if it is a 50 ton per day cassava processing plant, or even if it is 25 tons per day cassava processing plant, you're looking at a minimum of at least 1,500 to 2,000 jobs that will create. And let's take it for, if out of 2,000 jobs, or even if it is 1,500, even 1,000 of those jobs go to Ogu, sons and daughters, And if at the end of the month, there is an average of 20,000 naira for each of them, you'll do the math. And just imagine the multiply effect that that will bring into not just Ogu, but into the Wakirike nation. Imagine 1,000 people, sons and daughters of Okrika, taking home 20,000 naira a month. What it will do, just it means that the woman who wakes up in the morning to fry akara, if she sells 5 pieces of akara before that industry comes into being, now she'll begin to sell maybe 40 pieces of akara. It means that there will be disposable income. It means that now somebody who was afraid to come and side business before in Okrika will say, yeah, well, I mean, I'm talking about the Wakrikas and about that other industry. So to answer that question, that's what I've been thinking about, side that kind of a thing. And then what about a packaging company, a packaging factory or plant? Because I'm not going to wear me. I saw that they have a lot of these supermarkets now where people actually go and buy meat and all that. So what I observed was that there is great need now and demand for a packaging industry. In fact, it's just ready there to explode, because Nigerians now have gotten to the point where in the Mime they want to go into the supermarket to buy meat. If they want to buy okra, they want to go into the supermarket to buy a well-packaged okra, their pepper, their onion. If they want to go buy oranges, it's well-packaged and all that. So there is huge demand now, if you ask me, for both, whether it's plastic or if it is paper, packaging industry to go there and explode. And what about fruit juice? So we have that potential. It's just that there is one factor that would really help to make that happen in a way that will not be much of a stress to the average investor, and that is power.
Power, yeah.
So we as a people, if we truly want to attract that level of industries to come, then we must do everything in our power to make sure that we have power to drive those things. You cannot be a viable economy of anything, of any kind today. You know that, I mean, what Mago Dige, they will go what it will mean, in the comfort of your room, perhaps in your basement or whatever. And you and I were just talking now, and we can talk from now to the next coming 5,000 years. Light is okay. So yeah, just to answer that. So it's always there. I thought about that, and I'm even as I speak with you, I'm not lying. I'm working on it because I know that there is a potential for us to go back there and cite industry. So I'm really working on it.
Okay. Now, talking about, I want to digress from original plan. You talked about the environment, you've touched on electricity, and then you mentioned unity. Let's go to the environment. What are the plans of Wakirike USA in this area? And I mean, let's say a journey of 1,000 steps begins from the first, 1,000 miles begins from the first step. So environment-wise, what are your thoughts as Wakirike USA, or you personally as a leader, our environment?
Well, it's nothing. It's nothing about me. I operate in a way that I'm a servant leader. It's what the Wakirike community here says that we should do, that I will take upon myself because I am the leader. And once you see people go chances and okay, me why you be here, baby, then it's up to me to drive it. So, like I said earlier, in our last convention and the one prior to that from 2009 and even the one of this year, we've really focused on that environment. And the reason is because I went to Potaka. First, the town is easy, it's cloudy. And it's because of those activities of both fire and all these years of devastation and degradation that is, that's happened. Just give me a second here. Just very recently, there was a study that was carried out by the Journal of National Cancer Institute, if I recall. Yeah, that's what it is. And the study was carried out by a research group from University of Texas, from their
Okay.
medical branch in Galveston, Texas. And the study finds that people who live within 30 miles of a refinery are significantly, at a higher risk of getting cancer. They found that there is a clear and direct correlation between those who live, within that proximity to a refinery and getting all kinds of cancers, not just one cancer, all kinds of cancers. So you can imagine, I'm talking about the Wakirike Nation, all of our towns and villages, we've been living within that 30 miles of that refinery all of these years. And not just that, the pipelines. And now we have this oil spills and pollution. And then now on top of all that, we have this fire. So this matter, frankly, no matter where you're looking at it from, it poses an existential threat to us. So those of us here in America, the Wakirike sons and daughters, we take it very seriously. So I would want to use this medium to really appeal to our young men and women who are engaged in this fire thing. I understand that it's a survival issue, and but again, if because you're looking for your breakfast or your lunch, you set your house ablaze. I mean, you think about it, it doesn't make sense. The truth about life is that money is not wealth. The true wealth are the things that money can actually give us. So our only source of livelihood, to the best of my knowledge, are the rivers and the creeks that we have. So you can just, I'll go back to my video. I know even in England, when I go to the water side like this, as the bath and the fish, they swim around you. One minute you fish are there. You can, the average cricket man will just take nets straight, go throw your net, catch fish, as long as your wife try to get pepper and oil for house. Now the young men, they have to go inside the bush, go do this fire. At the end of the day, beginning in okay. And when they manage to get the money, even the things that money can even afford to them, it's not as much as it could back in the day. So even the value of the money, it's declining by the day. So we are truly endangering ourselves just because we want to eat today, which of course it's okay. But why if you be a member, but you want to do so that mommy, we are not only eating, but if you am, remember if you so why if you am, so that's one thing that we are really concerned about our environment. We should be able to come to that realization that it is all that we have as a people. And it is the only thing that we have, perhaps besides our language, that we can pass on to future generations. Because what we're doing is we're stealing, we're robbing from future generations. Because by the time they come, probably even half of us don't die from asthma or one cancer or the other. Then when they come, they can't even live up to maybe 30 years again or something. At least you and I now, we are 50 years and above or something, But just look at it. The average person in Kirikebe said, now, how long will they be able to live? So that's why we're really passionate about the environment. That's why when I came to Nigeria, I discussed that issue with all of the kings, and particularly the king of Ogu. Why is it that the Ogoni man is known globally because of this oil spillage and pollution that he suffers? Isn't the same fate that we face as the people, we the people of the Wakirike? I said, well, why aren't you guys driving that conversation? Why isn't it known in Nigeria and everywhere else that the people of Wakirike suffer the same fate? So I mean, just give me 1 minute.
Mm.
Just a couple of weeks ago, the River State government, Governor Wike ordered, and the River State government acquired an MOL, which is the oil mining lease number 11.
Mm.
Now that issue came about because an Ogoni community sued
Sure.
Shell to court for oil spillage that happened during the Civil War. The case has been going through the courts back and forth. It got to the point where Shell admitted, liability, and gave them guarantees and bonds, and said, okay, we will still appeal this case to the Supreme Court. But if we go to the Supreme Court and if this judge against us, then these are the things, Mayama, Ominoke. Now they went to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court judged against them. Now Shell reneged on their promise. And then the people took the case back to court and said, the case that you guys judge in our favor, these people, after making all those promises, now refusing to pay. The Supreme Court now gave order that Shell should not only forfeit all of their properties at, what is it called? That their something island or so. Shell has forfeited all their landed properties there. The court even ordered them to pay retroactively all the money they made while this case should go back, should be given to the Ogoni community. So what did the River State government do? They went and they put up that whole Shell property for sale. And Wike, being smart, thought to himself, instead of somebody else to come to River State now, perhaps maybe an Hausa man or Yoruba man to come and buy this property from us, he ordered that the River State government should buy the property. So because of the fight of Ogoni people, today the government of River State owns an oil well. So if that is possible, we've been suffering the same thing. Why? So I don't understand why we're silent, why our kings and our chiefs are silent in the face of this devastation that is killing us. You know? So what we are trying to do is to bring at least the awareness up to our kings and our chiefs, our leaders, that this is something that we should be very passionate about and talk about.
We'll come back to this in a minute, because the third part of your mandate, as it were, environment, electricity, and unity. We'll come back to unity in a moment. But let me ask you a question, which more or less takes on from what you've been saying. What are your hopes and your fears for Kirikebese? What are your hopes and your fears?
I'll be honest with you. If this question was asked like 12 years ago, I would perhaps state 1 or 2 fears that I have. But Mingbone, the good Lord has been so good to us that fear is not what I have right now in terms of Kirikebese. And the reason being that at least we have some semblance of peace. As human beings, we cannot have it all, but the good Lord has been so good to us that, remember, in River State, we can say that with some degree of without bragging, that the Kirikebese axis is perhaps even arguably the most peaceful axis right now, so with that, I have no fears. And with what you guys are doing on a yearly basis, the concert and what other the Wakirike gospel ministers are doing every year, praying to God and all that. As long as we as a people keep calling upon Him, the Lord, then we should not exercise any fear. He's already been doing it now. He's doing it already for us. So, and I got a bala for it. But my hopes, I hope to see a Kirikebese where, for example, there is a specialist hospital in Okotri where it provides such good care that it attracts kings, queens, heads of states from far and wide. They say We're going to that Okochuri Specialist Hospital. We're going to that hospital at King Ateke's Tom's Kingdom. I hope to see an Abloma where it's industries of all kinds, where there's an industrial park where the Wakirike sons and daughters are engaged in innovation and invention in artificial intelligence and other emerging, technologies, where people can say, are you talking about computer? Then go to Abloma. I hope to see a Bolo where the people have come to realize what they have to offer to the world, and they've gone out to engage, international real estate investors who can come into Bolo and invest in both residential and commercial real estate, where people can say, "Oh boy, you don't see those fine houses when they build for Bolo." I hope to see, like I said, a Ogu, where there is a cassava processing plant that can hire and employ a handful of Wakirike sons and daughters. And Ogu, that is the manufacturing hub of not just the South, but both the Southeast and the South of Nigeria. That is my hope. I hope to see the Wakirike nation that is living in peace and in unity, not with itself, but also with her neighbors. That is my hope for the Wakirike today. I want to see a Wakirike that is economically competitive, that knows the assets it has, that it can offer to the world, to go out there and woo investors and lure people to come in. Because, for example, you are from Ogoloma. What does Ogoloma have to offer to the world? When was the last time we bring in people with geotechnological experts to come with their ground penetrating equipment to come and look into the ground and see that this is what we have? Or if that's not the case, what other assets does Ogoloma have that Ogoloma can take out to the world and say, "Me, why and I come? Let us do business, because this is what we have. This is what we have to offer." The time has come for us to take stock of what we have, what we can offer to the world. That's my hope. That's my hope. A Wakirike base said that's out there that is competing economically, politically. And of course, if you have the economic power and the political power, you can always set the social team to whatever you want. That's my hope.
Sorry, let me just come in here. When you ask the question that I'm from Ogoloma, what does Ogoloma have to export to the world? And immediately a thought came to me that Ogoloma is the architect of Seki dance from Yiboko, who is from Ogoloma. But then the efforts he has made with the Seki dance, there is no community. You won't say that it is Kirike Bese or Ogoloma that put their weight behind him to project him. Neither the SER nor the state has really, it is his personal effort and maybe individual support. But that's the kind of thing that we as a people can say we are working with him, supporting him to project Kirike Bese and River State and so on to the ends of the earth. But then coming back to the question, so yes, what about Isaka? What would you like to see happen there?
That's the next thing I was going to see. I hope to see an Okrika Grammar School that is remodeled, renovated, because as it stands today, frankly, that school is a shame to the name Okrika. It does not have the right to bear that name Okrika anymore. Okay, so I hope to see an Isaka, for example, that government school that has been renovated, remodeled, and perhaps repurposed for something else. So yeah, like the vision behind that school was one of its kind at the time, and perhaps even up till now in the whole of Africa. That I'm talking about the government school Isaka. a marine school, because I recall I used to have my friends who went to that school. They had a boat that was part of the classes they take. They teach them how to pilot boats and all that back then. You can imagine what it was back then in the early 70s, late 80s. I mean, the late 70s and early 80s, for a school to be of that level, on that level in Nigeria, and to see that school today looking like, so yeah, of course, I was even going to talk about Abba Mama and the Kalio. We want, I hope to see a Wakirike that is right there in terms of, creativity. You talk about your nephew, in terms of innovation, in terms of invention. We must get to the point where we compete. The whole idea is this: before bringing up Mabu, our fathers saw themselves as a nation. They were a nation. So moving forward, we must always see ourselves as a nation. I really hope to see a Wakirike Base that produces at least 20% of the food that we consume. And I think I've mentioned this to you before, because before we started this interview, we were talking about during war, if you see even lizard, it's a delicacy. Think about it. A people must always be strategic, because you must always assume that something bad is going to happen. It is for that reason that countries like the United States, they have strategic stockpiles. Okay, they have places where they have grains now that, for example, if by any reason if things go wrong, that amount of grain can carry them maybe for 15 years, can carry the population of 300 million people plus for 15 years, or maybe for 10 years.
Wow.
Yes, they not grain, all kinds of food. So they do have it. So minimum also as a people, we should be able, some would argue that Wakri Yanake, of course, in this day and age, you don't need land to get into agriculture. There are different kinds of technologies that people grow food right now in their bedroom. Hydroponics and all those things. They have different kind of technologies that, yes, people grow food inside their bedroom. So we don't have excuse to say Wakiri Yanake to grow food. We should be able as a people to grow at least 20% of the food that we eat. So that's really my hope. And no one man has all the answers, but my hope for Krikabese, I really want to see us doing good, frankly, on all grounds.
Fantastic. Now, you and I know that it will not happen on a platter of gold, because, like anything, I think it was one of your American statesmen, Thomas Paine, who said, "In the heart of conflict, the more glorious is triumph." I mean, we have the agreement that unity is sine qua non to Wakirike development. So I'd like you to put your binoculars and look at the issue of unity in Krikabese. What do you have to say?
Just like every other people, we have work to do. I don't know who brought the idea of Koninju and Tumoniju, into our nomenclature or into our discourse. But whoever did that did a great disservice to us. Those two words are from the pit of hell. Those two words are from the devil himself. They've come to destroy us, but we're bigger than those two words. I would want to really use this medium to appeal, especially to our young men and women, that we're one people.
Yeah.
When I talk about Krikeni, I mean, these days now, even to use that scares me, because somebody will say, so and you can imagine where we are, as a people, that now even men as old as you and I we don't even know how to define us as a people anymore. Yes, we struggle because I don't know whether to use Krikeni or to use. That level of confusion should not be, and it's because of all this. And so I spoke at length with all the kings when I was in Nigeria. all, including the king of uh, your people, the Goloma people. And him and I went back and forth. It got to the point he gave me an example of stuff he asked the chairman, the critical local government chairman to do, and he wasn't or he's not at that point doing it. So I not to go over it. So boy, there is no reason why you would tell anybody anything regarding the cricket to do, and that person will waste time. The king, you call him and make him do it. I said, look, the truth is that before the advent of democracy, we were a nation of people. We had our ways of doing things, you know. So right now, your power doesn't come from the River State government. It comes from the people of Ogoloma. And the people of Ogoloma have looked at you and they gave you all the powers and all that you need to rule over them. So who can come here and insult you? Nobody. So I spoke with all of them. I met with even King Ateke. We discussed about this unity and all that. And frankly, they all reassured me that they will do their very best. And each and all of them, they kept pointing to the fact that Mogiyarega Amanomogo Denka, and truly at that time and up till now, to the best of my knowledge, at least Amamikele Denwarabe. So we can do better, especially if we're able to let go of that Koniju and Tobunju issue. It has never done any good for us, but to divide us, you know, and to create fears in us for each other. And no people, no community, nobody can rise to his or full potential in an environment where there's chaos, where there's no peace, where there's no unity. So I really want to appeal to all of us that no amount of chieftaincy, no kingship, no stool is worth killing an Okrika son for, or breaking one house in Okrika for. Because when you bring down a house, you're by every way pulling us back, because without we have to make an extra effort to build back that house. That is resources that we probably would have used to do something else. So yeah, I think unity is serious, but there's work to be done. I would want to think that it's a continuous work. You know?
Okay, just say, I don't know if you have the time to say a few words. Maybe like you have the Hanezi as the apex body in Igbo land, the Arewa people, the Oduduwa, and the Ogonis and all of that, the Bakwa and all of that. So what are your thoughts about having a kind of a confluence body where every section of our community has a voice?
That's a very interesting question. It's and of course you know that it's something we talked about in our last convention, and we resolved to do it. And immediately I put things in motion. And as you are well aware, we're on that path. I always ask this question: if a Wakirike son or daughter comes up to you today with an idea that would revolutionize something, or that would catapult the Wakirike base to a different stratosphere, who does that young man or woman take that idea to? Because you know that if he or she takes it to one king, the other king on the other hand will grumble and say, you know what I'm talking about. So in this day and age, another point is that peoples don't speak through individuals anymore. And that's what the whole concept of democracy is all about. People speak through institutions. So we live in a democratic society in Nigeria, and yet we're still acting as if, you know, we're living maybe like 40, maybe 300, 400 years back. So we have walked to the point where you know that by the grace of God, because me don't get million about my way whatever the good Lord does not endorse. They say he that those that labor, those that what is that? Yes,
Unless the Lord build the
the
house.
house, they labor in
Yes.
vain.
Vain, yes.
Yes. So we're on that track. We're working hard. There's glitches and itches that here and there, but that's expected. Whatever thing you're doing, especially when it involves one or two people, different ideas and all that. So, but yes, the cricket man has to get to the point where we have a national organization, just as the Queries have and other people have, that can speak, not just to speak on our behalf, but we desperately at this point need direction, guidance, okay, in terms of, okay, economically, what are our priorities? It is that organization that will set that list for us. Politically, what are our priorities? When two Okrika sons who are maybe one in the PDP and the other one in APC, when they're having a fight, who can call them and say, oh, boy, a people or a body that they both respect very well, that will call them and say, look, Omo Yaemi, it would not benefit Semi. No. So that's what we need. And like I said, you know very well that we're working on it. I don't want to say too much about it because it is a work in progress, but we will get there. We need it desperately, and we've talked to all the kings. They've endorsed it. We've discussed with all the politicians in Wakirike. They're all for it. We're working. It's going to take a while, but in you and I's lifetime, it's going to happen.
By God's grace.
Yes.
Now, one of the comments I make is that, from a health point of view, sometimes we ask people to donate blood because somebody needs blood. But I always say that you cannot donate blood if you are anemic. If you lack blood, when you go to donate blood, first of all, they'll check to see how much blood you have. Okay. And if you're lacking blood, they will say, no, go and see your doctor, go and take iron tablets, because they know that if they take your blood, you're going to faint. So I always think about this, and this in the last decade or so, because we who live abroad are always thinking about what we can do and maybe go say. But as you know, a vast majority of us have immense challenges at work, financial challenges, and despite all these challenges, we are keen to help our people at home. Although most people at home think that we are swimming in gold and all that. So what, in terms of your leadership, how are you pursuing the economic development of the Wakirike people in USA?
That is a very, very interesting question. And I said that because the challenge inherent in that question is that the Okrika man, by his disposition, if I can use that word, it's very proud. And so most of us here, even if, just recently, one of us here lost her son, yeah, talk of a man. I mean, even to say it out to the community was a problem. Yeah, talking about Fiokoma. What is it that you're hiding? And all that. But again, another one just lost her son, and she came out and said, "Yo, Yamanapo, you talk of a man, Obaracha, a pray." That's the spirit. So, frankly, in terms of what we need to put, on the ground here for us to pursue collectively, to bring about our economic well-being, to be competitive economically as a community, we're working on it. And I say that because a lot of people are very skeptical, whenever you raise this issue. And why I would want to believe that because of prior experiences, when you say, okay, oh, boy, let's try to invest in this. Or, I mean, why can't we float, a Wakirike USA company,
Mm.
and even if we were able to, make a contribution of $1,000 each person, and even if it is 50 of us that come together, 100 people that come together, let's say 50, for the heck of it.
Mm.
That's how much? That's $50,000, correct?
Yeah.
And then we amongst us here, we do have people who are savvy in terms of how to invest in commodities and forex and stocks and all that. Or even if not, we can sit down and say, okay, why you and I just talked about manufacturing, opening up, and we can take that money and go out there and engage investors who, seeing that level of seriousness from us, can partner with us and go to Ogu or go to Bolo and establish something that at the end of the day, all of us will be making money from it. Have sold the idea. I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress, just like the previous question you asked. It is not easy to convince them that some of them think that doing that, you're asking them to relinquish their independence. No, that doesn't stop you from being a doctor, or it doesn't stop you from being the carpenter that you are, or the nurse that you are. It's just that we have to get to the point where we have that sense that we all have a vested interest in one thing. It gives us that true sense of community, because we all have this investment that's in there. We all want that thing to succeed. So if you know that if anything happens to me, it might affect that investor, at the end of the day, what does it do? It makes all of us to look out for each other. So to answer that question, we're working on it. We're not there yet.
It's always a delight, It's always a delight when we catch up and then discuss our mutual interests in our community. So, I've been talking to David Solomon, who is the president, Wakirike USA. And for those who maybe are not there at the beginning, this is a man who had not been to Oramaboke for 27 years. And then Tarakora for Akora Soim Oramalake. When finally he came home, he said he spent 11 days going to visit all the kings of Kirikebese and the chairman of ODC and other important people before he spent the last 4 days on his family. A man who has real passion for everything Kirikebese. And he has a mandate for Wakirike USA looking at the environment, electricity, as well as unity of ourselves. On behalf of Wakirike people all over the world, I want to say a very special thanks to you for joining us today. Do you have any final word of advice for any particular section of the Wakirike community?
What I have as my last comment is about you, what you've been doing. I wasn't given the opportunity at the beginning of this interview, so let me thank you very much. You're one of a kind. I believe that we as a people were truly lucky to have you at this point in our history, and also Chief Ogulacha II. What both of you are doing in terms of reaching out to our young men and women, it's phenomenal. And God bless you so much for all that you've been doing. And to imagine that most of this while you do these things out of between the one tragedy after the other. I mean, about female and all that, and yet you still find the strength to do so. Thank you so much. God bless you.
All right, sir. Yeah, man. God bless you. Say hi to the family. Yes, sir. Okay. Bye bye.